Nico has improved the most when it comes to being decisive and getting through the progression of his reads?
Yeah, just for any young quarterback, just getting unscouted looks each and every week, he's reacting to them quicker and quicker as it's going on. I think that's why you've seen on this back half of the season, he's completing passes at almost a 70% clip, hitting a bunch of big plays down the field. He's made a bunch of huge plays for us in these last couple games that we needed to get going and to go get in this playoff right here. So his attention to detail has never wavered. It's been the same since preseason into season. There's just nothing like game reps. There's just absolutely nothing like it. You can try to create it as much as you want, as much scrimmage. But man, it's just a different animal when there's live bullets going out there and you're getting completely different looks, and you got the play clock and you got everything going like that. So just him settling into all that, it's been really cool to see, and really bright future for him. So we're excited about that.
Well, Adam and Rob and Austin.
Joey, I remember back in August you said you thought you would need all these wide receivers if you were going to make a playoff run, which you're here now. With Mike Matthews particularly, do you feel like he's in a place where he can contribute if he is to play, and does that depend on more of the injuries of the other guys, whether or not he plays?
No, we fully intend on Mike being a big part of everything we're doing. It's the same thing now. Like, if this goes the way you want it to go, you got 4 games left. You got a quarter of a season left to play right here. All those guys that are here and that are going, we expect them to play at a high level. We feel comfortable throwing anybody out there. Our guys are prepared, they're ready to play, and they're dang good players. So anybody that's called upon, we expect that they go out and they play at a high level, and we expect to see that here every week.
Coach, it felt like in the last month of the season, even the loss at Georgia, but Nico just felt like he grew a lot. I mean, where did you see the biggest growth in him over those last 4 or 5 games?
The way that kid I think the way he was able to get to that is he doesn't blink. You know what I mean? And I said that from the very beginning. The kid's got a very even heart rate. But, man, his decision-making, and more than anything, his getting rid of the first read into the second, into the third, like he was getting all the way through stuff really quickly. That's why you were seeing, like you brought up the Georgia game, early in that game, like we're going 1, 2, 3, and that guy's getting the ball out, and we're hitting big plays all over the field. So you're just seeing him being able to make his decision-making, which was always good. He's even taking it to a higher level. So we're looking forward for that to keep growing for him.
You talk about not blinking. You go into the Vanderbilt game, I mean, I don't even think he'd thrown a pass yet, and he was down 14-0. Yeah. That next drive, he takes right down the field, hits Dante for the touchdown. Was that as big a drive to kind of show his growth at any point in the season?
100%. And for him and really the whole offense, like we got the ball for the first time. Not the first time, we had 2 snaps and we had the turnover. But so our third snap of the game, it's 14-0. And I asked on the headset, because I'm up top, I said, how do we look down there? And to a man, every coach was like, we're good. Like, nobody's blinking, nobody's worried. They all know what's about to happen. And we go down, drive, score, get a stop, score, and then roll from there. So that drive was huge. And what I loved about what he did in that drive is he didn't, fall into himself. He didn't start, I don't want to mess anything up. I don't want to have anything bad happen because something bad has already happened. Like, nope, that's the ball there. I got Tay, and I'm driving this thing down the field for a touchdown. So exactly right. That was a very good representation of where we're at as an offense and where he's at as a quarterback.
Joey, the calendar being what it is, how are you budgeting your time right now where you've got some really important things happening all at the same time?
Yeah, that's the fight right there. With stuff being open right now and recruiting, official visits, and all that type of stuff, it's you can't stop doing it. But, talking with Coach Heupel, right, you recruit at a high level to go to the playoff and try to win a championship. Well, we're in this thing, so we can't stop forgetting what the main thing is, which is going these next 4 weeks and playing at a high level, giving ourselves a chance to win. So with that, the other thing can't take a back burner, but it's the mentality from this whole staff is we are here for a reason. That reason's to go win this game on Saturday night.
Well, the same, and then Patrick.
Back here, Coach. The numbers obviously show the story of Ohio State's defense, but looking at film and all that, what makes this defense so dangerous?
Yeah, you got starters, you got really good players across the board. They roll out there, they play extremely aggressive brand of defense, they pressure a bunch, they'll press their corners, they'll press their safeties, their nickel, they let their defensive linemen change up their rush techniques. Like, everything they do is designed to try to create negatives and to try to take the will of an offense. So they present a very unique challenge. They're a really good defense. That's why, as you said, their numbers are at the top, if not the top, of every defensive category right there. It's a unique challenge. We feel like our guys are ready for it, and they're looking forward to what that challenge is going to be on Saturday night.
Joe, you guys have played a lot of 12 personnel this season. Obviously, that's something you guys have even leaned on in a lot of games. How much of a different element does that bring to what you guys can do,
I think
throwing and running?
Yeah, it's a bunch, and like you said, in the passing game too, created a bunch of individual matchups for us out wide in the 12 personnel passing game, and when people were playing wide, it created big holes inside. So it's been a really, really good addition for us. The tight end room led us to be able to do that. We had some really good players in there, and I think there's a lot of times like when you get big, it's to run the ball, but you get big and you got those wideouts out there that can run the way our guys can. It creates one-on-ones, and we've had a bunch of big explosive plays in the 12 personnel passing game. So it's been a huge addition to what we did. It was something we knew we wanted to grow starting in February, and we committed to it, and we're seeing the fruits of that here in the season.
Joey, I'm sure y'all look at all this stuff and study it, but on third down, where's the sort of, I guess, risk-reward factor on, kind of taking it slower and making sure the guys get the right play versus it being third down on the road and that giving the crowd more time to kind of be a factor?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's what is the actual situation that's going on right here. Like, are you in a good situation, bad situation? What's the momentum? What's the feel of the game? The most important thing, like people talk about our tempo and all that stuff, is running good, efficient football plays. Like that is what it is. That's what it comes down to. And if we have to sacrifice the tempo to get everything communicated, get on the same page, we'll do that. If we can play with our tempo, we'll do that. If we want to sub and move bodies around to get people in the right spot to try to create an advantageous matchup, we'll do that. So there's not really one way to do this thing, and especially when you go, like you said, into a hostile environment, the most important thing is always going to be running good football plays efficiently. And then everything else takes a backseat to that.
We'll do a few more from the room, then we will do the Zoom questions. We'll go to Paige, Brent, and then we'll finish with Rick and Adam.
OSU, they have about 35 sacks on the season, a lot of that coming from their defensive edges. What kind of stress is that going to put on your tackles and Nico Imaliava to get the ball out quickly, like you mentioned?
Yeah, it's picking your times to push it down the field without being reckless about it. They try to talk you out of pushing the ball down the field. They try to talk you out of playing aggressively. So we have to not allow that to be something that we're saying we're going to go play in a box now. But like I said from the very beginning, they got really good players, and they let them turn loose, and they go play them. That's the challenge with these guys. So our tackles know, our quarterbacks know, our whole offense knows what this is going to be on Saturday night. It's going to be a fight for 60 minutes. But we're looking forward to that opportunity and a chance to mix it up with these guys.
Coach, how would you describe this year for you guys offensively? I mean, you went through the spell where you couldn't find points in the first half. Obviously, you've grown at the end here. And how much of going through the year that you've gone through helps this offense for what's getting ready to happen starting Saturday night and the run you hope to make?
Yeah, what I was talking about with, the offense doesn't really blink. This team hasn't blinked when we've had tough situations. You start off the season and everyone's lighting the world on fire. And then the biggest thing for us as we were working through and we were having our first half struggles was, man, it was us, which was a positive thing as we were talking to the guys. Like, if it's us, if we're the issue, then, man, we can solve it. There was never an issue of being stopped. We were driving down the field and something would happen. And the biggest thing that we would talk about is we don't get to take our turn. Let's all make a concerted effort not to take our turn. That it's not going to be me on this one. And if we're all playing like that, then we're not going to have the self-inflicted wounds that end drives. Whether it was a turnover, whether it was a penalty, whether it was an MA, whatever it may be, just don't take your turn. You don't have to play stress. You don't have to play uptight. But man, play according to your fundamentals, play according to your teaching, and everything else takes care of itself. And that's what you've seen on the back half is we're just not getting in our own way as we get drives going anymore. You don't get in your own way, it's helpful. These defenses are too good. If you help them, it's really hard to stay on the field.
Rick, and then we'll finish with Adam for questions in the room.
Coach, how do you not let the weather affect what you want to do on offense?
I mean, the simple question to that one is you don't. Like, yeah, it'll be cold out there. We've played in cold games before. I mean, it was snowing here last week. You go out there, it's cold in pregame, and then you start playing, and man, you don't feel it anymore. You go out and you play at a high level. Should be good field conditions. It's not going to be like a wet track or anything like that. Like, that is not something that we're harping on. Like, hey, it's going to be cold. You better be ready. Like, man, let's throw and catch the ball. Let's handle it well. Let's do good with our exchanges, quarterback, center, and quarterback, running back. And man, it's the playoffs. It's going to be cold. Let's go play. Like, that ain't going to be a thing that slows us down now.
I'm sure when Nico comes in here, he'll tell us he respects his opponent and all those sort of things. Ohio State is loaded personnel-wise. You mentioned they lead the country in almost everything. When you present the scouting report to Nico and it's that daunting, how does he react to Ohio State compared to how he would react to a UTEP or whatever else?
There's not a difference in it. It's always, all right, what's the game plan? What are we attacking? What do we see? What do we want to do? How are we going to go win this ball game? Like, that's just what it is. And it has to be. Coach Hype has said it from the very beginning since we got here. Every week it's a nameless, faceless opponent. Like, that's what it is. That has to be the mentality. That's how you go on the road and win. That's how you win at home. That's how you don't have your slip-up games. It's a nameless, faceless opponent. You show up, you respect every opponent, and you respect them by preparing at a really high level. And then you go out, and on game day, you cut the thing loose. You don't play with any kind of reservations. Like, that is what it takes to go win against good football teams. So they're very good on defense. Man, let's go attack and see what happens.
All right, we do have one question from the Zoom from David Pascal from the Chattanooga Times Free Press. David, go ahead when you're ready.
All right, Joey, thanks for doing this. Wanted to just ask about the football itself. Are y'all able to use space heaters to keep those things warm Saturday night, or how do you keep a football warm? And I was curious, given a game that could go into the low 20s, maybe even upper teens, how many snaps when you start a possession can that ball go from being grippable to feeling like you're throwing a brick?
Yeah, I think our equipment managers do a great job. We got everything under the sun as far as what you're allowed to have down there to keep the guys' hands warm, the balls warm, to keep it as good as possible. They do a great job mudding them up and all that stuff. So don't think that's going to be an issue. We'll try to not sub the ball as much as possible, because when you sub the ball, you got to slow down. So we'll try to do that as little as possible, but if it calls for it, Nico always knows that anything weather-wise happens, that he doesn't like the ball, he'll just signal and call for a new one and get a new ball. So like I said, that's not something we've had a bunch of focus on from our end. That's what our equipment guys they're stressing about, so I'll let them handle that. But we feel like we should be able to go handle this well and go play at a high level.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Coach.
Good. Thanks, guys.